And check out the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From big TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what is going on, kind people? Lee Sanders with you guys for a Friday night edition of the RCWR Show, coming at you for this Friday night of August 8th, 2025. Yo, what did y'all think about tonight's live WWE edition of SmackDown from Montreal? Sound off. Come on in with your comments. We're streaming right now simultaneously all throughout social media, and if you honed in on that, yeah, I did kind of have a flub saying that word. Simultaneously is the word I was looking for. I'm just gonna wing it. I love throwing little Easter eggs in there, though. I hope you guys had a fantastic week, and the weekend for you is off to a great start. Seriously, getting some really nice fall-like temperatures, man, and I am definitely enjoying what we're getting, especially around this time of the evening here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. It's that kind of weather you just gotta have if you're driving, all your windows down, if you got a roof that can open. Right? Oh, you definitely want to be enjoying that nice, cool, crisp breeze or that summer breeze. Make me feel fine. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Hey, we got some interactive polls that's up right now. YouTube.com/the RCWR Show. Vote over there. You can also vote on Twitter at the RCWR Show. We'll circle on back later on during the show. I told you guys I was toying around with the idea of doing a SmackDown live show, as I felt it was going to be a loaded up show with John Cena in the house. And then, of course, I had expected that we would have Brock Lesnar on the show for tonight. We didn't get Brock Lesnar. I think I may be on to something. I think I may have an idea as far as when's the next time we're going to be seeing Brock Lesnar surface again. I feel as though Brock Lesnar is going to surface 2 more times. I'll let you guys know about that later on. But, of course, John Cena, we got him. That's locked in. First time speaking since the vicious beatdown that he received from Brock at SummerSlam. So that was definitely a major selling point for watching tonight's SmackDown. So we'll definitely talk a little SmackDown. We'll do a little abbreviated show. I'll still give you guys a little bit of wrestling news-related tidbits. Of course, we got some information on WWE Unreal Season 2. We also got a ton of wrestler injuries and speedy recoveries to send out there as well. This was when you hear some of the names of the people that's been injured or dealing with some type of a health scare this week alone, you're just going, Jesus Christ, can we just get past this week and hopefully the next week will be, 10 times better and everything. So nice little short show that we're doing here for you guys tonight. Now, if you're expecting me to dive into the talk of the WWE ESPN deal, I want to say this before we get into SmackDown. I want to say this because we're going to spend a good little bit of time, not too much time, but we're probably going to spend about maybe 30 minutes, maybe a little less, talking about SmackDown. I want to address the WWE ESPN deal. And I said it before, so recurring listeners, just bear with me for just a couple of seconds. It's more so for the newer listeners. I want to say this again. I've said it already, but I want to say it one more time. The WWE ESPN deal, that was just from a public relations, a marketing, from a PR standpoint. More specifically, from a PR standpoint. The press releases that were originally put out by TKO, I'm sure now a lot of you guys can understand the confusion that was going on. I definitely was caught in the wind of that, as well as others. And at least I did man up and I say, hey, the information we got, well, it's kind of messed up, but we had did our part in putting that information out there. So I only felt it was a responsible duty of mine to make sure that everybody had the most accurate information as possible. And I definitely did my due diligence to come on back, make sure that a lot of you guys had the correct information. Now you understand why I like to kick back and wait a day or two until more information comes out. This was one of those rare occasions, though. I said, yo, it's from TKO. So this can't be wrong. This has to be at face value. Like, we're good. And they were missing so many fine little details that just in retrospect, you go, how the hell could they have missed all of those things? So, for the very latest, and you want to get my thoughts about the WWE ESPN deal, there is a definitive video exclusive on YouTube talking about the whole situation. You'll know it when you see it. It's on the channel. Check that out. You'll thank me later. All right. Don't, if I could give you a piece of advice right now, don't look at the YouTube short that was done. Don't look at the hour plus reaction piece to, no, what you want to go look at, and you'll see the thumbnail clear as day. It says definitive breakdown. That's the one that you want. You'll get my thoughts on everything that's going on with that. But it seems that now that we have a little bit more information about what's going on with that WWE ESPN deal, it seems that a lot of fans are now calmer, but you still have a decent amount of fans that's going, dude, I'm just tired of always jumping from this to the next, to the next, to this, to that. I think I'm just going to go on ahead, get a VPN and see what I can do, take my chances. And there's nothing wrong with people that feel that way. Montreal SmackDown. Nice little lively show that we had for this week. And I got to be honest with you guys. It never dawned on me if this SmackDown was really going to be live. Somehow I remember it, but then I started to second guess myself as we were going into tonight's episode, because part of me was going, is it really live or did they film this a couple of hours ago? And about 30 minutes before showtime, as I was sitting in front of the computer getting the thumbnail artwork together and everything, I'm going, shit, is it live? And I'm literally going online trying to find out if it's live, and it turns out no, it actually was live. Maybe a little bit of a tape delay by about 30 seconds or whatnot, but definitely it was live what we got tonight. Some building blocks were put together in setting up Clash at the Castle coming up at the end of August 31st, remember? But also, we had a little bit of a some of the most weirdest booking on paper, I gotta say. On the one hand, I'm looking at certain elements, I'm going, okay, that's progress. And then there's other areas of tonight's programming where I go, is Vince McMahon a consultant or something? Is he in the shadows going, what would be entertaining? Because I'm just looking at some things that's just coming off very cringeworthy. And then there's other things I'm looking at where I'm going from a creative standpoint. Well, what's the whole point of this authoritarian of a figure? So, Nick Aldis. I know Nick Aldis is a producer for a lot of matches each week and everything, but this was one of those standout episodes of SmackDown where you're really left scratching your head and saying to yourself as a fan, well, gee, there's really not that much need for Nick Aldis as the SmackDown general manager, is there? And the reason why I'm saying that is because, all right, so we open up the show with Cena, John Cena, who got a rousing ovation from that crowd. I mean, I loved it. I mean, nothing but pure love. There was no hazing going on. There was no booing. He got nothing but love from that crowd. And John Cena ate right into that, gave it right back to the fans. Loved it. It was a great moment. He got a rousing ovation from that crowd. He also talked about how he, is aware that, now there's only but 11 dates left before his retirement is final. That is basically it. After that, we're not going to see him anymore and everything. And it's starting to hit him a little bit more and more as each week passes and everything. But he says, yo, when it's all said and done, he's going to be going now all guns blazing. So he realizes that Brock Lesnar stepped up to him at SummerSlam. He knows he's got a Brock Lesnar problem. And as far as that front is concerned, if Brock Lesnar wants some, he can come get him some. And that same challenge goes out to anybody on the WWE roster. Well, cue up Logan Paul. Logan Paul not buying for 1 second that the John Cena that he is seeing before him is the John Cena he had teamed up with many weeks back. He's wondering what's going on with this ruse. When is he going to stop playing around with the fans and come back to reality? John Cena says, no, seriously, this is me. This is the real John Cena. Logan Paul doesn't like it. He doesn't like what he's seeing and everything. Calls it a farce and all of that good stuff. And somehow a challenge in all of this is put out there for Logan Paul versus John Cena. And John Cena is down. He is ready to punch in that ticket right then and there on the spot. Logan Paul begs to differ. He wants for the two to go one-on-one at Clash at the Castle. Clash in Paris. He wanted to go down there. And then out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre attacks John Cena from behind. Logan ganging up on him. Looks like this is going to be a 2-on-1 beatdown when all of a sudden our newly crowned WWE Heavyweight Champion Cody Rhodes comes to the scene for the rescue. No Cody Rhodes promo tonight. I thought for sure Cody Rhodes was going to be speaking, but no. Cody Rhodes coming out there, saving John Cena's ass. The challenge gets put out there. Yo, how about this? How about Logan Paul, John Cena, Clash in Paris? But tonight, John Cena, Cody Rhodes taking on Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre. I didn't forget about Nick Aldis. This loops back to him. So we have Nick Aldis come out there. You know what? That actually sounds like a pretty good deal. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's make that happen. Yeah, we'll do that at Clash in Paris between Cena and Paul. And then tonight we'll do that tag match. Yeah. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Now I'm paraphrasing how Nick Aldis pretty much acted and handled this situation, but when you really just break it down, let's go ahead and do that. Yep. And all right, now I'm gonna go back and hop on my PlayStation 5 because World of Warcraft is waiting for me. Right? This was a recurring theme with Nick Aldis throughout the night because later on in the night, we see, who was it? We see Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, B-Fab. They're having a verbal spat with DIY and Candice LeRae, and they're going over the fact of what all had went down at SummerSlam. DIY is mad at the fact that when it was all said and done, Profits did not win the tag titles, and in the same process, cost DIY their opportunity, bringing about the whole insane ladder spot with Candice, and some nice little verbal, little funny one-liners was thrown in there and everything. It was a combustible situation when Nick Aldis just pops up hey, I'm getting sick and tired of seeing all this stuff that's going on here. I think we need to get control of this situation. I'm gonna start taking better care of this tag division because this needs some cleaning up. So next week on SmackDown, you guys are gonna have a tag match. Y'all gonna face each other. You're like, okay, all right, Nick Aldis, all right, cool. Then later on, again in the night, we see freaking Nick Aldis. He comes across the Miz after Miz has a conversation with Carmelo Anthony. Oh my God, I said Carmelo Anthony. That would be something. No, Carmelo Hayes. I apologize. Obviously, I've got basketball on the brain. No, he comes across Carmelo Hayes, and Carmelo's telling Miz, dude, why are you even here? Don't even try to step up to me now. I haven't seen you in almost 2 months. When I needed you the most, you were nowhere to be found. Like, nah, I'm gonna start doing things my way. I'm getting ready to go into Nick Aldis' office right now. I'm getting ready to handle my business. I'm trying to get me a shot at the United States Championship. Miz is, for some weird reason, he is stopping him from going after that championship. And Miz is pretty much, you kind of get a little bit of an idea what's going on with Miz here. Because Miz says to Mello, look, you know how long I've been in the WWE? And normally when we hear that, we go, okay, yeah, we get it, Miz, we get it. But no, Miz is literally showing us, from the fan perspective, from the writing perspective, he's showing us his hand as he's telling Carmelo, well, look, I just watched Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. They pretty much got a championship opportunity, and look what happened with them. I see what happened with John Cena. I mean, look how all that had played out. And now look at what's going on here. Like, dude, seriously, this crap is getting out of hand. Like, if anybody should be getting a championship opportunity, it should be me. And Carmelo's like, yeah, but it's not about you. We're talking about me. So again, I'm gonna go handle my business. I'm gonna go talk to Nick Aldis, and I'm gonna get me a United States Championship opportunity. And Miz derails him again by telling him, well, you can't do that because I've already talked to Nick Aldis about us getting a tag team championship match against the Wyatt Six. And that's exactly what we got. So we got to focus on that right now. Carmelo's going, okay, you know what? Fine. All right, I can get down with that. Good talk. Exit Carmelo. Nick Aldis shows up. Ugh, what was that about? Miz saying, oh, nothing, nothing. Need to talk to you backstage. Can we go in your office? So we already know what this is about right here. Obviously, Miz now needs to pull a Hail Mary of a favor that he needs to get from Nick Aldis. What is Nick Aldis going to, because that's not going to come lightly. That's not going to come lightly. So this tag match opportunity, if it's going to happen and Nick Aldis and storyline green lights it, then at what cost? Does it mean they can never challenge for the tag titles again? Does it mean that if they aren't able to get the job done, then they need to separate? Like, what exactly is the stipulation going to be? But we see what's happening with Miz right here. It really comes off as if Miz, there's a couple of ways that you could take this. And I'd love to hear you all's thoughts on this. You can look at this as Miz essentially just being Miz, and he's ultimately going to turn on Carmelo. Or if you are more of the camp, no, no, no. If anything, let Carmelo turn on Miz. Let Miz remain babyface. Let's see if we can maybe get some sympathy out of Miz here. Which, good luck with that, because I think the majority of fans would be happy to see him getting his ass kicked around and everything. But then you have the other side where you could look at this and go, so Miz recognizes the true talent that Carmelo Hayes is capable of, and he's trying to do everything he can to put his thumb on this guy to stop him from achieving his truest potential or start really tapping into his potential. There's so many ways you can look at this whole Miz Carmelo thing because you're trying to figure out what is the end game here. What exactly is Miz hoping to? But there's so many ways that you can ultimately look at this. But the politicking, negotiating that's happening here behind the scenes with Miz and all that, I find it rather interesting that when it benefits him the most, he's all over it. But the minute it doesn't really have anything to do with him, then all of a sudden he really could care less. So kind of mixed signals that's coming on by the Miz. Love to know what you guys think in regards to that. But if you're keeping track of the few times that I've mentioned Nick Aldis now, so he's running around backstage and he's pretty much, that's a good idea. Wait. I got one more for you. I'm going to hit a Columbo. Just one more thing. So Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, they had one of the most cringiest segments of the night. Remember I said the whole Vince McMahon thing? Is Vince McMahon back in some capacity as a consultant or whatever? So get ready for this one. I know we're kind of bouncing a little bit, but I'm just going with the flow. For this one. So I hope you appreciate it for what it's worth. So Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, they're backstage. Charlotte basically goes, yo, I know your birthday is hitting this weekend, and I got something really, really cool for you. I got some presents. Alexa's like, yeah, bet. So let me have them. Charlotte's going, yeah, no, we're going to do this in the ring. Live in the ring, Montreal, in front of the people. Let's go ahead. Let's do it there. So we go live in the ring, and Charlotte has a nice cake. It says, congratulations, Charlotte Flair. Little tiny little words, and Alexa Bliss. All right, so we get what's going on here, right? They're still playing. Okay, great. We get it. But after about, I would say, 3, maybe 4 minutes, this segment started going way downhill. It started to hit cringe-worthy territory. It really started to feel like, okay, now you all are just out here, not really enough substance, much to do about nothing. There's no meat on these bones of a segment, so why are we just stretching this out? Why is it now starting to feel like you all are just out here trying to kill time? I get it. Lord knows I get it. I experienced it in real time. The first rodeo, Mick Foley, The Rock, this is your life. I get that. And ever since then, it has pretty much, including what we saw tonight, it is some variation. It is some homage to that infamous segment. It is. But this segment went on and on and on and on. And the crowd was lost after a couple of minutes. Now the crowd is just, they're trying to be pleasant. You can tell. You can feel, you can read the energy. You can see the faces. They're trying to be nice. But even that Canadian crowd has but only so much patience. And then, right then, we get Chelsea Green, who comes out making fun of these girls. And because if I remember it right, Charlotte Flair said, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to give you the greatest present of them all. Alexa, I'm going to let you hug me. Come hug me. And this was just one of those mild claps and applause from the crowd. It's just really going into cringe territory here. Now you cue up Chelsea Green, who crashes the scene and everything. She's pretty disgusted at what all she's saying. Decides to take a little bit of a dig at the Montreal crowd, reminding them, yo, I'm your hometown hero and everything. Like, how can you guys even tolerate this crap that you're seeing play out before your eyes? Yeah, Chelsea, ditto on that one. Somehow a challenge gets put out there. Hey, Chelsea, won't you put up or shut up? Chelsea's not trying to have anything to do with that. Leave it to good old Nick Aldis. You thought I forgot about Nick Aldis? we loop everything back to Nick Aldis. So Nick Aldis, for a guy that is supposed to be laying out matches and all that every single week, it just seems like he really does not have control of the asylum, which really brings the question, dude, you had these matches. Like, what was your original plan? What was your original blueprint for SmackDown this week? Because it just seems like, I don't know. I'm just picturing, that infamous Chappelle show skit with the guy that's just running around and he don't say nothing. He's just doing a little hand. That's Nick Aldis backstage, right? That's Nick Aldis. Every time something's going, Nick Aldis is just, and then all of a sudden it just comes off like, oh yeah, well yeah. I got an idea. Let's go. It's like, no, seriously, what really were you gonna do there? It almost reminded me of some of the time when I would be in my television production class, and sometimes I would shadow my professor, and my professor would go when he's looking at the lighting setup and all that. He would test the green screen, and he'd be like, yeah, this area right here, it's a little too hot. You might want to bring down light 38, and maybe you should try playing with light 18. And I'd be like right behind him. Yeah. And I didn't realize this at the time, but I'd be like, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Light 18. Yeah, that definitely hits the spot. You definitely want to mess with that. And that other light, yeah, you definitely don't want to do any. And eventually, a couple of students kind of caught on to that. Some of my fellow classmates, they caught on to that, and they were like, Lee, like, that's literally what he just said, dude. Like, seriously, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, my bad. Like, yeah, I hit the R truth. Oops. My bad. That was just kind of comical. It's almost night and day when you really stop and think about it. I'm going on and on and on about this because it's almost night and day the way the general managers operate. It really, really is. Because when you go over and you see what's going on with Adam Pierce is more authoritative. Adam Pierce is more, yo, I'm gonna get control of this situation right here and now. Yo, you boys want to fight? Hell, I want to see y'all rip each other's fucking heads off too. Make the match happen. It's official. Let's see it right now. Adam Pierce is one of those type of guys, right? Adam Pierce is also that same kind of on-screen character where, if you try to get up in his face and everything, you think he's gonna back down. Not for nothing, he's a rather tall, pretty big dude, and he gonna come right back at you with the same kind of bite and everything. So I don't. It's almost night and day. Let me know what you guys are noticing with these two GMs. But it just tonight just seemed a little bit more comical for my personal taste. What was going on there with Nick Aldis and everything. So kind of told you about some of the matches that was playing out. We can go a little bit more in depth without being overkill about some of these matches. Motor City Machine Guns taking on JC Mateo. Every time I hear that name, JC Mateo, for some weird reason, all I'm thinking about is KC Masterpiece is barbecue. Because his name is just, at least for me, it just kind of reminds me of that and everything. But yeah, Motor City Machine Guns taking on JC Mateo and Talla Tonga, or as I like to call him, Tall Tonga. That's my new name for him and everything. I did appreciate how the big man Talla Tonga was booked in this one. It seemed that he was a little bit more on the offense as he should have been because he's a rather big dude. He's got that Kevin Nash type of height that's going on with him. Yeah, he's a little bit more on the lankier side, but he should still be, a relatively strong, dominating fear factor of a force of a man here and there. This was a okay tag match for what it was worth. JC Mateo and the Tall Tonga going over about 6 minutes of a match, give or take. Not really my favorite match of tonight's SmackDown. Actually, the weakest. I know some people are looking at the Motor City Machine Guns and they're going, yo, these Motor City Machine Guns, man, these dudes, they deserve so much better. They need to get this, they need to get that. And look, let me tell you something. When it comes to the Motor City Machine Guns in 2025, and my respected book, the Motor City Machine Guns, and I've been very consistent with this since the day that they first arrived in WWE. I said, well, that's good that they're finally in the WWE, but time will tell if it's too little or too late. Because in my eyes, I kind of felt that these guys should have been in the WWE maybe 10 years prior, at least. And it just kind of feels like they maybe missed that. Um, this edition of SmackDown had the weirdest placements for commercial breaks. You definitely had a commercial break that I think really had kind of hurt the momentum for this first match for tonight's SmackDown and everything. But, um, so this was definitely a very short form kind of match when you're really, taking a step back and you're looking at this and everything. I wasn't a fan of seeing MFT taking on the guns, but at the same time, if the narrative you're trying to spin to me as a fan is, yo, we're just trying to put the MFTs one step closer to almost having all the gold in WWE, and this was kind of your way of inserting them in the tag team title picture, opening some paths up in the very near future, definitely create some fresh matchup rivalries in the process, then I go, okay, you know what? I'm down with that. Sure. Sure. Remember what I was just saying about Nick Aldis? Well, post match, Solo Sikoa, he gets on the microphone talking hot trash, talking about how the MFTs, to the point that I just made earlier, are going to become the next tag team champions. And that he's feeling so damn good about his boys. Shit. He's ready for a fight. He ready to throw down with anybody. But he's good because he's gonna go on ahead and leave the terrible city that is Montreal. Cue up Nick Aldis, who says, yo, I got the perfect opponent for you that just happens to be here. He's willing to throw down. So we gonna make that match happen right now. One and only Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, Solo Sikoa, one-on-one matchup. Sami Zayn picking up the win. Good stuff. Good fun little match right here. Um, it's kind of interesting because you think about the fact that Sami Zayn got the W on Karrion Kross SummerSlam weekend, so he's still riding that momentum. And then he essentially follows up on that by getting a W on Solo Sikoa, which then really makes you wonder, okay, so if you're really taking a step back and you're thinking about this, Sami Zayn is usually a Raw guy. But the fact that he was able to make this appearance in Montreal, you're looking at this going, so what implications does this have for Clash in Paris, if at all? Because now that Sami Zayn has beaten Solo in a non-title one-on-one matchup, shouldn't that give him bragging rights to become number one contender? Get a shot for that championship? I think so. I think so. The only question is that going to translate going into Clash in Paris, or the way WWE was essentially looking at this was, nah, this was just for Montreal, for the fans. That's pretty much it. We'll have to wait and see how this continues to develop. I just teased Karrion Kross. I wasn't going to mention him until much later on in the show. You got all these reports that's going on with Karrion Kross and everything. Look, I know a lot of people are looking at this and, oh, he's going to leave WWE. He's going to roll out of WWE. He's going to, let me tell you something. I don't see Karrion Kross or Scarlett leaving the WWE. Contrary to some of the reports that's floating around out there, I don't see it happening. I know the last report that was put out there was by Dave Meltzer. Take that news with a grain of salt, but his report is stating the fact that WWE did offer Karrion and Scarlett a new contract, and that to his knowledge, it hasn't been signed yet, but he's expecting and suspecting that they won't be going anywhere. Me personally, I don't see. I'm using my eyes. Everything that I've seen with the Karrion Cross Scarlet character, particularly since Triple H has come more and more into power, and he's pretty much the head guy in charge right now. I am not seeing Karrion Cross and Scarlett leaving the WWE. I think if anything, it kind of goes back to that whole challenge of, I believe two things to be true that's going on here. One is, okay, if you want to get over, you want more TV time, you want those revenue opportunities, you want XYZ, okay, well, then you got to try to be innovative. You got to try to figure out a way to get some eyeballs on you so that it makes the writers, it makes creative, it makes the producers, especially those executive producers and Triple H, Paul Levesque, and Lee Fitting, it makes them want to, okay, we can do something with this. Let's work with it. And Karrion Cross, along with Scarlett, has checked off all of those boxes. So that's the first thing. Now, if this was a case where it's Vince McMahon at the helm, then yeah. And we kind of saw how that went. We saw how that whole experiment went, right down to the point that safe to say that if Vince McMahon could have had it his way, freaking Cross would have never been back in the WWE. Okay. But I believe that part to be true as far as a deal is going to get done with Cross, all that stuff. The other thing that I feel is at play as well, and this is something that a lot of other friends of the shows, colleagues, and all that are missing, that MVP had touched upon, I believe, in a recent interview. He said something along the lines of, this was maybe about maybe almost 3 months ago that MVP had said this. And MVP said, look, I didn't have any beef with Triple H, but me and him, I'm paraphrasing him. He's like, I didn't have any beef with Triple H. As far as I know, Triple H didn't have any beef with me. We weren't enemies, but at the same time, we weren't best friends either. I could tell that I wasn't part of Triple H's clique, right? That really spoke volumes to me. I know some people kind of looked at that and they wanted to go the whole, I guess if you ain't white, you ain't right. I guess some people, a lot of people were kind of looking at it. No, I looked at it from the standpoint of, yeah, Triple H likes you, but not enough to really want to go to bat for you. Creatively, all that, just all the above. So with Karrion Cross and Scarlett, I still feel like there is a lot of mutual respect and all that's there. And Cross and Scarlett definitely fit that new version of WWE that Triple H has been envisioning for years and years and years. And look, not for nothing, but I at least believe, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Well, I do, within reason. Within reason, I do care. Enough to have a healthy discussion, for sure. But I just personally feel that Karrion Cross, under the right toolage, uh, will be a bona fide household WWE name, will be a bona fide WWE star. He just needs to continue to get the right type of creative to come its way. I look at his situation, take away, well, throw a name at you, and I don't want you guys to go, oh, I want you guys to just hear me out. Take away the controversy that went down with actor Jonathan Majors. And it's just so fucked up how Marvel executive producer, showrunner, to say the least, Kevin Feige, every chance he gets, he's pretty much throwing shade on Jonathan Majors. That Kang actor, or the actor that played Kang, or that guy. It's so, and I get it, right? But at the same time, we look at Ant-Man, Quantum Mania. Those of us that saw that movie, we all go, wait a minute, Jonathan Majors, he crushed it as He Who Remains in Loki season 2. He crushed it. And then to go, we're going to put this character up on the big screen, you're going, okay, well, kind of a huge task, but if you got the right script, I mean, hell, you got the right talent. You got the right talent. So, yeah, you know what? Cool. Do it. And when we saw that movie, I mean, that was some of the weakest writing. There was nothing wrong with the actor and Jonathan Majors. It was the writing that was really, really, everybody go, the CGI. Look, I've seen some really strong writing that carried a subpar movie that was filled with a whole bunch of weak ass CGI. I look at Karrion Kross, and at this point, Karrion can only go but so far. That, he's doing his part. He's bringing his creativity, his energy, all of that. He's bringing all that to the table. Creative needs to do a really good job in matching him on all of those fronts. You can't have one without the other. You just can't. And as we've seen in past history, God rest his soul, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was very obsessed creatively with every single, he'd eat, sleep, that's all he was doing 24/7. And he was extremely, and you get it because this was his baby. This was his vehicle and everything. And he wanted to make sure everything was on point. And when he had a hard time with creative, right? Those of us that watched that Bray Wyatt story, we know exactly, how he was there. Karrion doesn't seem like he's that fixated. That he definitely comes off like an individual who, if you got something that is going to match and really good suggestion, he seems like, he's definitely a team player. At least some of the stuff that I've heard, he's very warm, very receptive. So, but he's only going to be as successful as what creative puts out there. But I don't see, for the record, I don't see Karrion and Scarlett going anywhere. Again, I wasn't going to talk about that until much later on, but kind of figure we go ahead and knock that out now since, we were talking about Sammy and all of that good stuff. Meanwhile, some other action on the card for tonight. Oh, by the way, Jade Cargill made a little bit of a cameo appearance backstage as Tiffany Stratton was being interviewed. She's still relishing over the fact that she retained her championship from SummerSlam. And Jade Cargill crashes the scene, pretty much letting her know, hey, look, make no mistake about it. You and me, we're going to lock up again and we're going to do this. And I'm definitely going to get the job done next go around. Tiffany letting her know, hey, the result is going to remain the same, but she's welcome to try. Toodles, pretty much was it for her. Kiani James and Julia, they overhear this conversation. And Julia, is looking on with her little championship as Kiana James says to Jade Cargill, yo, overheard your little conversation just now. If you want to be like Julia and you want to get some gold around your waist, take my business card. Let's talk. We can make it happen. Jade tells her, yo, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way. Thanks, no thanks. Actually tries to hand her back the card, to which Kiana says, nah, it's cool. You go ahead and keep that because got a feeling you're going to use that. They walk away. Mia Yim crashes the scene, asks Jade if she's really not going to use that card because if Jade ain't, she wants to use it because she wants to try to get a shot at that United States Championship. Jade hands the card to Mia. So nice to see Mia is still in the background. I gotta admit, I was missing me some Mia. I haven't seen her the past couple of weeks and everything. So at least when I've been tuning in, I think I'm on a hot streak right now. I think this is my third consecutive week checking out SmackDown. So and watching and enjoying it for the most part in real time. Put it to you this way: I'm glad it's a 2 hour show still. Glad it's a 2 hour show. Charlotte taking on Chelsea Green. Just real quick, just trying to think if there's anything else I want to add in addition to the whole Jay Cargill. I think a lot of us are still on that. Yo, Jay Cargill. It's a really interesting question that is coming about. Is Jay Cargill done? Like, is she done in the WWE? Is she obviously with what they had showed us tonight? The impression is that Jade is not done chasing after the women's champion. She's not done. At the same time, if you really want to look down the rabbit hole as far as instant Acme feud goes and all that, I can totally see just the way Jade Cargill did that business card and handed it to, Mia Yim and everything. I can see Kiana James and Julia looking at that as a sign of disrespect. I can easily see them follow up with Jay Cargill, who's maybe lacing up her boots, and says something along the lines to her of, yo, how could you just give away our card like that? Not for nothing, but, what you might look at as a simple piece of paper, we look at that as an opportunity. You should feel honored. You should feel humbled to be even given that because we believe in you. We see a bright future for you, and we want to bring out the very best in you because we truly know what you have to offer, even if some of these other people aren't willing to admit that. We know. Right? I could just see them kind of spinning it kind of just like that and maybe right down to the point. Your girl, Mia Yim, she wanted a championship opportunity. I guess she wants to see if she can prove she has what it takes to possibly join our ranks. Watch what happens with your girl tonight. And that's going to be even more proof in the pudding on why you should strongly consider joining us. Specifically Kiana James, why you should let me be your client. Why I should be able to take you on as a client. And I can see them just destroying the hell out of Mia Yim. And if you wanted to do it in a way where, okay, you already won, enough is enough. Come on, like this is now more insult to injury. I could see Jay Cargill coming in there for the save. Kiana and Julia, they back out. But maybe eventually, I don't know if you do it that same episode, but you could definitely circle back to Jade. Yo, what was up with you there? Why were you? We got a problem, and eventually, Jade could pretty much go, yeah, I got a problem. Boom, there you go, Julia. And I tell you what, that Kiana James, boy, I know she's in the clear, but now it's just a matter of, no, seriously, when do we get to see her in ring action wise? That's just going to be a matter of time. But man, can you just eventually see those two girls? Because eventually those two girls are going to fight, Kiana James and Jade Cargill. That should be a pretty solid matchup. But for all intents and purposes, it really kind of comes off as if Jade is not done chasing after a championship. Now, for some fans, And I hear you 100%, man. You may say, yo, her time should have been at SummerSlam. You can't really recover after that, after the way they built her up, and then they just, like, nah, Lee, like, they missed the boat. They may have. They may have. Me personally, at this point, just based on a lot of the stuff that I've seen with Jade Cargill, look, you got that great working relationship with TNA Wrestling. I wish at this point, ain't nothing wrong with going down to TNA, especially if it's going to get you more exposure, all that good stuff. It's going to get you more experience, more in ring experience. Between that and NXT, I personally would not mind it if Jade was off doing some stuff there, or if she maybe did some stuff with Pro Wrestling Noah for a little bit, really sharpen up her skills. Wouldn't mind it if a combination of all of those things were in the cards for her. I mean, she is getting better. And it's one of those things that and I know it frustrates a lot of you all out there. Everybody learns at their own pace. Everybody learns at their own pace. It's so funny because I've been teaching my wife how to play Magic the Gathering, and there's certain things that I'll tell her, and then I find myself 5 minutes later, hey, help me out. Why are you doing that? And I go, hey, I just told you 5 minutes ago, and I have to remind her, and I can see on her face it's a little frustrating because she's trying to understand why she can't do certain things. What abilities can she play? What can't she play? When exactly can she play XYZ? Mana cost, like, it's those little, right, whereas somebody else may be able to pick up on it quite quicker, even if they've never played it before. My whole point, everybody has their own respected learning of speed, right? And you just kind of have to go with the flow, and eventually, that person is going to look. Two things is either going to happen. Either it's going to finally start clicking, and boy, once it's clicking, just take a step back and just watch the sparks fly. Or eventually it's kind of one of those, okay, you know what? Got to move on to something else. And my wife is one of those type of people. When you teach her a new game to play, like right now, we got Magic the Gathering, and then I've been adding more and more hero clicks to my collection. We haven't even played hero clicks yet. Cause she literally asked me the other day. She said, "Okay, so you're getting all these hero clicks, but we haven't played it yet. Like, when are we gonna play it?" And I told her, I said, "I'm waiting for a few more pieces." I said, "But the last thing I want to do is have you play Magic one day and then literally the next day I'm trying to teach you a whole new different game. Like that wouldn't be fair to you, and then you're gonna get your shit mixed up. So let's stick to this for now, and then that way I can better educate myself and know how I need to teach you when it comes to hero clicks. Then we'll circle back to hero clicks, because by then we'll have all the shit that we need, yada yada yada." So Jade Cargill is in that camp right now where this girl, I am seeing some improvement. Might not be much to some people, but for me in my book, I am seeing some improvement. And as I've always said over the years, you show me a person that's making the slightest improvement, I can work with them. I can work with that. So, but she definitely needs more. She definitely needs more. She should not be touching, honestly, at the rate that she's going right now. My prediction: Jay Cargill should not be a champion of anything. Probably not until second quarter of 2026. You heard that here first. All right, second quarter 2026. Meanwhile, told you about the instant Acme feud that pretty much got set up there between Chelsea Green and Charlotte Flair, how that all had came about. Really nice cake with white frosting. I couldn't help but look at that cake going, I bet you it's a yellow cake. I bet you it's a yellow cake. Yeah, you just knew that cake was somehow going to get involved in this matchup between Charlotte and Chelsea Green. Give me a second here, guys. My ring doorbell had went off for some weird reason. I wasn't sure what that was about. Everything is on the up and up to good though. Charlotte Flair taking on Chelsea Green. This is weird. It really depends on your level of entertainment. If you just looked at this match for what it was worth, then you go, okay, Charlotte Flair, Chelsea Green, this was actually a nice little clash between these two and everything, right? Definitely working up to the crowd and everything, getting them involved. Like, this is good. But let's be honest, as soon as you saw that cake, you knew that cake was going to be brought into it. You just knew because you're going, you can't have cake out here and the cake is not used in the most comedic way that's humanly possible. And to see Charlotte Flair towards the end, reversing the unprettier into one of her own, sending Chelsea Green face first into the cake, then finishing up with the figure eight, licking the icing off of. Well, hang on. Let's make sure we phrase that, because then you guys are going to be like, wait a minute, Lee, a little HLA. Wait a minute, let me back up. As Charlotte Flair has Chelsea in the figure eight, or correction, as Charlotte has Chelsea in the figure eight. Boy, getting the C's mixed up there tonight. Charlotte takes her finger, scoops some of that frosting off of Chelsea's face, licks it, locks on that figure eight, picks up the W. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of cringed at the whole cake spot because it was kind of giving me flashbacks, not in a good way, of how WWE used to be under Vince and all that. And look, I know not every single damn thing, we shouldn't as fans be traumatized and be like, Vince. And that's kind of the one area where I'm just going, I really don't need that. Like, really, I'm good. I'm good. Because look, not for nothing, and I'm not saying it just to be saying it, but I remember when all the stuff was going on back in the day with Vince at the helm and we were getting, you know, panties on a bra match or you name it, right? Mud bath wrestling matches and chocolate pudding matches, bra and panties matches, and if you lose, you have to strip match. You know, if you lose, you gotta bark like a dog to Vince McMahon. If you lose, you've got to go to Vince McMahon's office for 2 hours. Like, it was just the weirdest, cringiest. I remember me and my friends were cringing over that shit. We just were like, you know. And of course, for our parents, looking at you, dad or uncle or, whatever, yeah, of course, that's definitely up their alley. But for some of us younger folks back then, we're like, what the hell is all this? Like, what? I don't get it. One of them type of deals. Um, yeah. Amusing match. I didn't care for the cake stuff. The cake stuff really wasn't needed. What I honestly could have now, if you had to have the cake involved, what I would have settled for instead was maybe Piper Nevin. Tell you what. I would have had Alba Fire jump up on the side ropes, try to distract the referee, and the ref is basically, what? And in the meantime, you could have had Piper Nevin take that cake, okay? And she could have climbed up to the top with that cake while uh Chelsea was maybe holding Charlotte down. Charlotte pinned on her back, and she's just right there pinning her arms down. It's like, yeah, go ahead. And Piper's about to come off the top rope with the cake, and maybe somehow Alexa Bliss just pushes her ass, off, and Piper just goes woo woo and woo, 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 you know, splat that way into the cake or whatever. And then Piper selling the whole, oh my God, what the hell? And Chelsea's looking on pretty pissed off. Maybe Alexa Bliss follows up with a jump kick from behind that sends Piper flying into Chelsea. Splat! Now Chelsea's got cake frosting and all that other good stuff on her and everything. Then you go on ahead and have Charlotte Flair follow up. I don't know. Something about that just seems a little bit more okay, entertaining, but doesn't come off less. Doesn't come off as sleazy as what we had saw go down there initially. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that one. Great spot with Aleister Black talking about the reason and the difference between good and evil, saying that he's an eye for an eye type of guy, uh, gloating over the fact that he sent Damian Priest home with a broken jaw. Pretty much saying, "Yo, if that makes him the scapegoat, then so be it." One thing that he touched upon, I love the fact that he said something along the lines of, "Damian Priest, you're a guy that likes to get in people's faces, and you like to push them. You like to try to push them to their limit. Well, I'm the type of guy. I'm not just gonna push you. I'm gonna push you off the damn cliff." And I'm going to listen very carefully until I hear that splat. I was like, damn. It's like, damn, Black. I love that. I love that. Now we just got to get Alistair a really good catchphrase. If we can maybe have him start saying, always bet on Black, right? Never count Black out. Like seriously, there was ever a time you should definitely start. You got to start thinking about the merchandising, man. You got to start thinking about the merchandising. Main event match: John Cena, Cody Rhodes taking on Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre. Right before this match had went down, R-Truth caught up with John Cena backstage. Two of them had no words were spoken. They were just looking at each other, and then they started raising their hands at the same time, almost like they were looking in a at the mirror. It was pretty funny. To which R-Truth pulled one of my favorite moments from Robin Williams and Peter Pan. Y'all know the scene I'm talking about. The black chubby kid. He goes, "You're back. It's you. You're back. You're back." And R-Truth literally had that moment. It was really cool. To which John Cena says to him, "Yeah, I'm really happy that you've gone back to your old ways. I mean, dude, what the hell were you thinking getting that haircut? Talking about ruining wrestling, being a bad guy for the past 5, 6 months. Yeah, that all didn't work out well, did it? Glad that you're back." To which R-Truth just looked on confused as fuck. I loved it. I loved it. Good stuff right there. DQ finish in this matchup as Logan Paul ended up giving a low blow to John Cena. This came at like about 8, 9 minutes. What really hurt this main event match, by the way, the fact that they took a commercial break at like 9:53. I remember that specifically because I'm going, wait a minute. You already did your entrances and everything, and man, this match hasn't even been on for like 4 minutes, and we're already squeezing in one more commercial break. What the hell? And remember, SmackDown on the USA, they got to make sure it goes off promptly because they got to get to Resident Alien. It's the season finale of Resident Alien. They got to make sure they hook us up with that, right? I'm watching my BMF. Matter of fact, I think this week is the season finale of BMF. Anyway. By the way, y'all seen the new Denzel Washington trailer for the new movie he's doing with Joey Badass? He plays a music mogul, does Denzel, and his son basically gets kidnapped. It's directed by Spike Lee. It looks really, really, really good. Really good. But yeah, Logan Paul with the low blow there to Cena, causing the DQ. I didn't mind that, especially if you're trying to get to Logan Paul and John Cena, definitive winner at Clash in Paris. Don't mind that whatsoever. And then the other nice setup that you did right here at the same time was post match, how you had Rhodes and McIntyre brawling until McIntyre got the better of the brawl, had Cody laid out right in front of the announcer's table, and Drew just came in with a damn Claymore kick, pretty much sent Cody Rhodes' head through the announcer's table. As you had officials, EMTs come out there, and now you're wondering as SmackDown goes off the air, what's the status of Cody Rhodes? Because that was just a devastating, vicious. I love the way that played out, and the fact that they were able to show that a couple of times before SmackDown was over. Magnifique. Good stuff right there. Now you just gotta sell that in a way where you have Cody Rhodes off TV for the next 2 weeks, because you can definitely do it. Have him off TV for the next 2 weeks. You gotta have Drew McIntyre come out there and gloat over the fact of, right. So obviously Drew McIntyre still has that resentment, that, yo, I didn't get my true definitive championship reign. I'm not gonna be okay. I'm not gonna be whole until I get that championship reign. I love how you had Drew McIntyre pretty much go mental there. So um at the same time, you could poke holes in the way that ending had came about. I personally wish that the way that would have ended, I wish the commentators would have been just swearing their asses off. Of course, they're being censored, but I wish it could have ended like that. I wish we could have had maybe Triple H, Paul Levesque come out there, Bruce Pritchard. I wish we could have seen them come out there. What the hell is your problem? What the hell are you doing? And pushing going on, and maybe see Bruce Pritchard get pushed to his ass. I would have loved it if that could have been a little bit more heavy. You feel me? And look, not for nothing. We've seen Triple H get physical before. I remember a case where Kevin Owens did a pile driver. Wasn't it to Sami Zayn? Somebody he did a pile. No, Cody. It was Cody. He did a pile driver to Cody. And I remember Triple H came out there nice and hot. Like you could have easily. I just feel that little touch of detail, you could have really taken it a notch with Cody's head going through the announcer's table. And if you would have just done an abrupt ending, we don't always need to do the WWE trademark logo, or if you do, just hurry up and like show it like the last 5 minutes before the show goes off the air, and then just go right into your thing with the remaining action. If you want to do the executive producer stuff, not for nothing. What I'm saying, we've seen it happen before with some PLEs, and then just when you thought the show was over, we just recently saw it as recent as Monday's Raw. So they can tease it and do it in a way where, in this instance, I wish it would have been more shock and awe, and really kind of sell, oh, what the hell, that really, really been cool. But yeah, this episode of SmackDown, honestly, I'm looking at all the matches that was on the card here for tonight. Really, nothing truly stands out. Just with the exception of that cool spot at the end with Cody Rhodes, Claymore. But even at that, you could poke some holes in that. Just felt like a glorified house show. Straight up. It felt like a glorified house show. Bit of an average episode for me personally. Let's see what you guys had to say about tonight's SmackDown. Looking here on Twitter at the RCWR show. Let's go to our interactive poll, see how you guys rating it here. Do 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 do. What the hell is this? All right, you are. You cool, baby. You cool. All right, let's see here. All right, how would you rate SmackDown? Right now, I'm seeing 36% of you all are giving it a thumbs down this week. Meanwhile, 63% of you are giving the show a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys that voted via Twitter. Let's see how you guys voted over on YouTube. Again, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the post section. See how you guys voted over there. Very early voting that's going on, and I know it's going to change drastically. Right now, we're saying, right now, early voting for YouTube, thumbs down. So you've heard the polling results. Pick one lane, vote that way. Appreciate everybody that's been voting in, though. Couple of other things we can get into before we get ready to wrap it up. WWE Unreal Season 2 looks like it's going to be coming out sometime in 2026. And you don't need any wrestling news site to tell you that. Just hop on Netflix, and when you try to go check out an episode, you get a message that lets you know more episodes are coming in 2026. But what is interesting, shout out to Dave Meltzer. He, from what he was able to learn, it's said that they were filming a lot of stuff backstage this week, particularly so that Brock Lesnar somehow he would be part of it. As I guess they're trying to cover a little bit of about when Brock returns and all that. So kind of interesting right there. So keep that in the back of your head and all that. I will give you guys my full thoughts on WWE Unreal on this coming Monday's RCWR show. So you definitely want to tune in for that. I know at first, a couple of weeks back, I said, nah, some of my friends and colleagues, they said, yo, you definitely need to, even some of my professors or former professors, because, they're into the wrestling as well. And some actually have, checked out my podcast and all that. And one professor particularly wanted to chat with me about WWE Unreal. And because we wanted to talk about things from just the technical standpoint and everything, lighting, design, like all that type of stuff, and compare notes. And he was shocked when I told him I didn't watch. He was like, no, you got to watch. So I'm going to watch it this weekend. I'll circle back and let you guys know what I think about it on Monday's show. Remember at the top of the show, I was telling you guys about some injuries and some health scares and all that. Got some updates for you guys. Not good. First off, I want to send a big, big, big speedy recovery to Jonathan Gresham. He shared on social media that apparently he had suffered 2 strokes. Not 1 stroke, 2 strokes. I want to read to you just what he said. It was very brief that he put out on social media. He posted this, and I quote, 2 days ago, I woke up and couldn't walk or move the left side of my body. I couldn't see and could barely walk. It took me 30 minutes to dial 911, but I finally did. I woke up in the hospital, couldn't remember what had happened. They told me they had done an MRI and I had 2 strokes. I've had a lot of tests run, but everything has come back clean. They're not sure what happened, and the only thing they said was it could have been a possible complication from a bad case of COVID I had a couple of weeks ago. They said we may never know the exact reason. And for those of you that are curious, damn, Jonathan Gresham, like what? Damn, how old is this? Dude's only like 37, like 37, 38. That is crazy to hear, right? Like seriously, when you hear that. Because the first thing that was clicking in my mind is, well, this dude, he has to be in his 40s and all that. Because I know when he got with Jordan Grace, that was kind of one of those, he was relatively older and she was younger. She has talked about that in interviews and all that. But no, he's 37 years old. So you're like, whoa, what the hell is going on there? He goes on to say, needless to say, I will be taking the next 2 to 4 weeks off from wrestling to recover and get cleared fully by my neurologist. My wife, Jordan Grace, saw me get carried off from the house on our Ring doorbell camera and somehow flew from Orlando to Atlanta in time that she was there when I woke up. I wasn't fully convinced I had a stroke until she showed me this photo of how my face looked. I never thought this would be something for me to worry about at 37 years old. Look, man, I'm no medical expert. I don't like speculating. I really, really don't. What I can say, and if the doctors are suspecting that this is a result from some type of complication of COVID that he had from a couple of weeks ago, what I can say to you guys is the following. As someone, me, I'm talking about, that, did have COVID, my God, not once, but twice. Not once, but twice. I know the very last time that I had got COVID, my lungs ended up getting greatly compromised, where I had spent about, I would say, my God, I probably spent about, man, because I went about maybe 7 months without this being diagnosed. But basically, I was walking around with pneumonia, and it was really, really, really bad. I mean, I was coughing up blood. I was extremely tired. I was dealing with a lot of fatigue that was going on. Um, Constantly felt drained. I didn't want to do anything. Like, I wouldn't even do the most simple things. I wouldn't even walk my dogs. And that's normally a great highlight for me each day, is when I can take all three of my dogs. We're all going outside together and enjoying some fresh air and everything. I didn't even want to do that. I was sleeping a lot. If I didn't have to work or if I didn't have school, I pretty much was sleeping. And then one day, I'll tell you what was the turning point. I was disregarding the amount of blood that was coming from out of my mouth when I was coughing really bad, because the blood wasn't that much. It was just like maybe half a teaspoon. But then, by like 6, 7 months later, now when I'm coughing, I mean, my spit is now a dark, rich red. And it was like, whoa. And one day, Tam saw my spit. She saw me spitting in the sink, and she goes, "Yeah, you need to go to the hospital. We need to make you an appointment or something. We need to take you to urgent care." And they did some tests and everything. And you know, the scariest part was trying to figure out, what was going on with my lungs, because we, well, she wasn't, but I was thinking maybe it was the big C, because it runs in my family. So I'm like, ugh, this would be like the most shittiest. Like, I'm still young, like, ugh. And then they're like, pneumonia. I'm like, wait, what? Like pneumonia? I'm like, but how? And they were like, well, did you ever, recently, like, sick? And I said, yeah. It's like, okay, well, your COVID shots, have you been getting yourself updated on those? And I said, yeah, I've pretty much been getting updated on my COVID shots. And they're like, okay, well, did you ever get really sick, even after you had got COVID? Like, have you ever been diagnosed with COVID? I said, yeah, as a matter of fact. And at that point, I did not get hit with a second round of being around somebody that had COVID. So me and my doctors, we were able to figure out right around when all that stuff was happening, we were able to figure out that, yeah, 9 times out of 10, I probably had COVID, and I was suffering the ramifications of that. I was fighting it off as best as I could. And then when I thought I was actually better, turns out I actually wasn't. So for some people, that's how it creeps up. So, you know, Jonathan Gresham, in all the years that I've followed his wrestling career, he's always been a guy that has been a health fitness freak. Not overkill in any type of way, but just always about good health, nutrition, trying to eat clean. I've never seen him get involved in any controversial crap. Never, never. So speedy recovery to him. Remember, he last wrestled, and it was against Pete Dunne at Bloodsport 14. earlier this August. So keep that in mind. We aren't done from there because the injury reports continue. Colby Carino, somebody I think very highly of, someone that I'm very, very fond of. He revealed that he had to get emergency neck and back surgery. You heard me right. He revealed he had to get emergency back and neck surgery. So he is going to be out for the foreseeable future. So as far as coming back to the ring, yeah, take your time with your recovery. Now, right now, someone that is a close friend of the family, they actually made a GoFundMe. So if this is your first time hearing about it and you want to contribute in some type of way, all you got to do is just go on the GoFundMe site, type in Colby Carino, and you'll know it when you see it. They aren't even asking for that much money. They're trying to raise at least $20,000. And last I saw, they were about to hit $16,000. So it's a very small, modest amount. So anything that you can give, I'm sure he will definitely appreciate. Wait, the injury reports don't stop right there. Got another one for you guys. Buddy Matthews, definitely a speedy recovery to him. Now, he went under the knife just a couple of days ago. Remember, he got messed up pretty bad when it came to the AEW Grand Slam out in Australia. And he was trying to see if he could maybe work it out and everything. But sadly, remember, he faced Kazusuke Okada for the AEW International Championship. And, he rolled on his ankle. If you remember the footage that was floating around on social media and everything, he rolled his ankle a particular way, and he continued on with that match for like at least another 15, 20 minutes. I know you guys remember that now. So, yeah, he suffered that. I remember in an update he provided some weeks back before he got the surgery this week. He said, yo, the ankle still is not doing good. Not really sure what's going on. So he went under the knife, and that is probably going to be at least 6 to 7 months of a recovery. So definitely a speedy recovery goes out to him. I wish all these people nothing but the best and good health and speedy recoveries all around. So pretty sad to hear all of that. But look, the most important thing that for a lot of these people, what all of them have in common is that they're getting the care that they need right now, and it couldn't come any better in a timely manner that it's coming in. And from here on out, they're going to be able to get the respected rests and resources that they need so that they can begin the work of not just healing but doing the rehabbing and all of that. So if any of these guys, you're fans of their work, definitely do what you can to support them. Even if you can't do it monetarily wise, I'm sure just a going to their social media pages and wishing them nothing but the best, I'm sure that will definitely hook them up and make them feel loved. Yeah. So other than that, that is pretty much it. Another show in the books. We did great. I didn't want to do a 90-minute show, and we're at about an hour 23. So that is fantastic. As far as programming notes go, me and Tams are going to be reuniting for this weekend. We're going to be doing another edition of Wrestling with the Topics. A lot that we're going to be getting into on that show. Tams will definitely be sounding off for the very first time her thoughts on the whole WWE, ESPN stuff. So it's going to be nice to just hear what she's got to say in regards to all of that. And there was something that she had reminded me of earlier tonight while we were watching SmackDown. Yes, it's coming back to me now. She said to me, hey, did you hear the stuff about Saudi Arabia and the possible idea that they might be getting their own WrestleMania and we might get 2 WrestleManias a year in the near future? And I said, vaguely. And she goes, we predicted that type of shit was going to happen on our show. And I said, really? She goes, yeah. And I trust her because her memory, my God, as I've gotten older, my memory is very, very fuzzy on a lot of things. And she can just pull up something. Her memory is freakishly freaky. She can pull up something. It amazes me. She can pull up something from like 15 years ago, like the most littlest nuance of a breadcrumb of a might be insignificant to you or me, and she can just remember it. It's insane. It is insane. The stuff that she has told me that went down on our very first date together. I'm going, are you sure? I don't remember that. And she's like, oh, yeah, that happened. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. She even remembers what she was wearing. If you were to ask her during Wrestling with the Topics. Be like, do you remember what you and Lee wore for your first dates? I don't remember. She'll be able to tell you, yeah, I wore da 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 da, and Lee wore da 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 da. Amazing the memory. So we'll talk about that WWE rumor that's floating around and everything. Um, I want to say this, but I'm going to talk more about it on Wrestling with the Topics. I want to say this. There's a bad report that's floating around on Thunder Rosa. I need people to understand something. I did do my research on this, and I think a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's just say it involves a Patreon show of hers. Let's say that. There's a very bad rumor that is running around. We got to be very, very careful when we're stating personal opinions and when we're stating something that is fact and we're able to back up it is a fact because, or it is alleged to be a fact because, this per this reputable source, per this reputable source, per this reputable source. But then even at that, if this direct source in question has not come out and said anything, then you've always got to go with the whole allegedly. You've always got to go with the whole allegedly. But there's this really messed up report that's floating around on Thunder Rosa. And I did my research and I was done in like about not even 3 minutes. It's like no reputable, no, this is just somebody's personal opinion. And there were so many people that were retweeting this, reposting it, and I'm going, it's like the Howard Stern situation. Me and Tams were talking about that. And look, nothing is official yet with Howard Stern. You've got all these headlines, and it all started from, I think, the Sun Express, if I'm not mistaken. It started from somebody, Daily Mail. It started from somebody that's like slanderous, taboo bullshit. Oh, Howard Stern's out of a job at Sirius XM, blah, 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 blah. And we don't officially know still what the situation is that's going on with Howard Stern. Eddie Trunk, I love Eddie Trunk. That guy knows all things hard rock and metal, longtime radio personality and all. He is the professor of hard rock and heavy metal. And he definitely, I echo his same sentiments, which is we as a society, especially when we are resyndicating, retweeting and all that, this news information that's out there, we got to be very, very careful because it's very easy to get caught up. This is totally different than what happened with the ESPN WWE TKO news. At least you can say that was from a PR standpoint, where it mattered the most. They didn't include, fans, don't trip. It's not going to cost you $30 unless, for you, it should actually be, they didn't clean that up. But this stuff that's going on with Howard Stern, that's a prime example of, whoa, pump the brakes. All right. So you got a rumor running around that SiriusXM is canceling Howard Stern when in actuality, like Howard Stern's people, they ain't say nothing yet. SiriusXM, they ain't say nothing yet. So you'd like to believe that, well, wait a minute. Well, if the two ain't saying nothing, then what's this about? The show's supposed to be, huh? So this stuff that's going on with Thunder Rosa, it's a very, very bad rumor. And I gotta say, the person that started it, I'm quite surprised at them because, to my knowledge, they never operated like this before. But it seems like they obviously are trying to go for the clicks. They're trying to go for the engagements, and I really hope that Thunder Rosa, I would definitely. She's actually checks out the show here from time to time, and this isn't me sticking up for her. This isn't me, paid Thunder Rosa sponsor. But yeah, I hope Thunder Rosa gets wind of that stuff that's floating around and addresses it head on, because I just think stuff like that is just complete bullshit. So I'll talk a little bit more about it on this weekend show. So if you guys aren't going to be around for that, then your next edition, it'll be the RCWR show. It'll be coming at you on Monday, August the 11th, 2025, after WWE Raw goes off the air. Meantime, I want you guys to be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. You can find me at the same handle all throughout social media. If you have not done so, please, and thank you to everybody that's been subscribing to the YouTube channel and all that. Y'all showing your man nothing but love, man. And Lee got big love for you guys. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, make sure you do, because we are just we are pumping out good content multiple times a week over on that bad boy. A lot of exclusive stuff as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's a nice follow-up from last Friday's joint. I was quite pleased with the numbers that I saw. I felt that combined with, this should be a really good SmackDown. I felt that, SmackDown was a little bit below, but still nice to be able to do this show for you guys and everything. Get out there, enjoy that nice, beautiful weather, and until next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you all next go round. Take care.